Okay, I usually deal in dead games, but this is one game that I wanted alive. There was a moment there in time where it seemed like this game was going to fade out. But apparently I've come across something recently that has given me some cause for hope. This game came out in 2011. It is Dropzone Commander. The 1.1 version I have here was printed in 2013. But this is a 10mm game of sci-fi combat. It has a very modern take to it, where it has a lot of things like aerial insertion. It has a specific role for each of the units that are in your army. It's a very well balanced game, and is one of the best war games to come out in the 2000 teens, if not the best. But in any case, Dropzone Commander has a lot going for it. It has it's full color. The original version had a ton of errata, but this, of course, repaired all that. It has a pretty in-depth setting. That's pretty much what you expect to see out of a sci-fi setting. The take they have on the setting kind of reminds me of a lot of 80s sci-fi, so I kind of have more of a appreciation for it that way. The rules are pretty well laid out. And let me just run you through the factions. Are kind of interesting. You have the United Colonies of Mankind. They're your basic, Colonial Marine types. Not so much like Space Marines, but more like, the guys from Aliens. They even have the little APC running around. It's pretty cool. They have the hardest force. I like it that the basic humans in this game have like the hardest striking force. Then you have, next in line is going to be the Scourge. They're a sworn enemy. They're the symbiont, nasty aliens that came in and decided to just take over humanity. I like that. I actually tried to buy a copy of that to use as a Dark Eldar Talos once. It's about the same size. Kinda. In any case, the Scourge are a very fast army. They're kind of horde-like. They rush in there and they hurt things a lot. They have a lot of nasty special abilities that do really fun things to people who don't deserve it. Post-Human Republic, I love these guys. They're high-tech, they're secretive. They supposedly betrayed humanity, but the thing is that these guys are operating under the premise where they have some kind of secret plan to save humanity, so they're kind of both fighting for and against humanity, I guess you could say. They're very specialist, super huge armor. They don't have a lot in the way of like horde units. There are some units that I have found that are cheaper than others, like these guys. The Apollo Walkers come to mind. Then there's the fourth faction they have in the main book, the Shaltari. They're crazy. They're the aliens, literally. They look like grays with porcupine quills sticking out of their head. Their basic color is orange in this book. They kind of look like mantises or walking sticks or like tropical plants. But they have a very interesting game setup, and a lot of their stuff just teleports around. It's kind of cool. I love that full color thing. But Dropzone Commander, whenever it first came out, it was widely advertised, and the stuff was easy to get when it first came out. But not a lot of people played it. But there was still people that bought into it. I myself bought into it. I had two armies to start with. I got a UCM army and a Shaltari army, and I sold them relatively like a few years afterwards. We played a few games, me and my friends, but no one else really bought into the game. It's not overly complex. It does deal with like some of the themes in here, like assaults in buildings, aerial insertions, and the way the armies are structured are actually a lot closer to how a real military would actually structure their forces, as opposed to like, hey, buy some cool stuff and throw it together into a force you can play with your friends. So it kind of has that going against it, but I think it's a very strong point of the game. The game was originally released in episodes too. They didn't call them episodes, but you know how you buy a book and it has like the upgrades for all the factions for that time period, right? Well, you got that. You have in the Reconquest Phase 1, they introduced the Resistance. They were the humans that got left behind and were caught up in the Scourge invasion and didn't get captured. They were the ones that kind of, resist from the shadows. So they have a pretty interesting story as far as they go. This one introduced the Super Walkers for the PHR, introduced horrible things that the Scourge could do. Yeah, there's a Super Walker. People love those for some reason. I don't own a single one, but people love those. Don't ask me why. I just don't get it. And of course, I like the Apollo Walkers. There's the Super Mother right there. Blah, big. They have some pretty fun stuff for the The rest of them too. They added special characters. That's kind of cool. Here's the section for the Resistance, and their very Mad Max look. They have some that are a lot less Mad Max-like and a lot more military. Where the hell? Come on, guys. Yeah, like a basic. I like their. They have a quasi A10. Come on, man. I wanted to see a tank. Just show me an ordinary tank in here. Is it an ordinary tank? I guess those are them. Yeah, those are their ordinary tanks right there. But that's episode 1. The phase 1, as they call it. Reconquest phase 2, they did something funny with the cover. They actually used special printing techniques to put gloss on the cover. It might have been cooler to cover the entire thing in gloss so it just protected. I could probably scratch a hole there, but I couldn't scratch a hole through that gloss coating. It's actually pretty tough stuff. It's the same kind of thing. They have more like, that's like, those are alien creatures. I guess you can play with alien creatures, and they have different scenarios, more stuff. They actually gave a big weapon and a big airship to the UCM. About time. Scourge got more nightmare stuff. Who would have expected that, right? Post-Human Republic got Valkyries. I love Valkyries. They are jetpack infantry. So instead of having to drop infantry, they can just, drop out of the flying aircraft and just fly towards the building and do their own thing. People like the Medusa the most when it came to the PHR, because the Medusa is kind of like a magician. She just does amazing stuff. She heals units too. That's crazy, but she does that. The Shaltari stuff. I forgot. Shaltari got like a bunch of interesting stuff. I think they have actual mecha. They have like grunts from Halo, and they have actual mecha. It's walks around on its own and does its own dang thing. So there's that. They did release a game called Drop Fleet Commander, but that's not the subject of this video. That one had a really bad run-in with Kickstarter. Let me tell you, like most things through Kickstarter, it may be the producer's fault, or it may be the vendor, or it may be the shipper. You're talking about multiple different companies that need to all do their job correctly so you can get your stuff. But yeah, the thing that gave me hope for Dropzone Commander is that this came out. I bought this yesterday. It is the Dropzone Commander 2nd edition. It's skinny. It's the complete rules. It does not have army lists. It's just the rules. It has an example army in there, but oh well. It's got a minimum of fluff like that. The first section like this. See, this is fluff. This part is fluff. The rest of it, most of it's all rules. It's hard to see since it's so thin, but yeah, only like the first, like, what is this, 8 pages are fluff, and the rest of it is all rules. And it's a 64-page rule book, so take that with a, as a statistic there. So I like this. It's cool. It's got the 5 present factions on the back as far as their symbols go. But the Dropzone Commander with the 2nd edition, it seems great. I like it. I had to read through the rule book, but from what I heard, they weren't really changing anything too major. When it comes to Dropzone Commander, I do have a few survivors. I did sell my old armies, but there was one thing I did keep. This is a Seraphim Strike Fighter from my old UCM force. My UCM force kind of had a very modern military paint job to it, and I painted all my aircraft after the same scheme the United States Air Force used in the early days of the Vietnam War, that kind of white and gray color scheme, and so this is based on that. I really do like it. One other thing I've got to bring up is a very old school thing to have a starter box that you use to actually transport your force in. The Dropzone Commander starter box for the 1.1 edition was exactly that. You look at it, it's made of actually some relatively sturdy cardboard. It's not AEG level cardboard, but it's tough stuff. And I like it's got the UCM on it and the Scourge in the front cover. I play PHR now. My PHR isn't painted, so yeah, nothing impressive to see here. You've got most of this stuff. My thought was this is the base coat, and I need to put then like I'm gonna put brighter colors on the armor plating to make them pop out. It's going to give it kind of that really cool, 80s sci-fi kind of look to it. Most things in 80s sci-fi, with a few exceptions, were actually painted gray. Stop and think about it. Like even go through the early Star Wars movies. Most of those ships are gray and may have stripes of color on them somewhere to signify something. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I have infantry here. It's kind of funny. I only have 2 normal infantry. That's sad. I should probably paint up another pair of those just for the heck of it. I have 6 Valkyrie stands though, just because Valkyries are that good. You want 6 stands of them. So there is Oh, it's not much to look at, but this is my PHR collection. I like the fact, just like I'm saying, I like the fact you can use the starter box as a carry case for your army, and it's a 10mm game. That's the best thing about smaller scales, and I don't get about the people who consistently insist that everything has to be 28mm. If you have a smaller scale, you can play vehicle-heavy games, and you can fit stuff on the board. Heck, you can fit it all. This is a pretty decent army, and it all fits in the starter box. I mean, I have more space to add here, and there's stuff I could, but it's still a pretty decent-sized army. I'm really glad the game exists. I'm really glad the second edition came out, and then I could actually buy it. It was a relatively cheap buy too, at like $15. Paperback, saddle stitched book, nothing amazing. It's small. It fits in the. This will fit in your carry case. You don't need to carry along a full-sized, library book-sized. Most game books are about 8x12 or 8x11, so this is nice and half-sized. So when it comes to Dropzone Commander, I hope to play it. I hope other people play it. I hope people buy into it and that the second edition isn't the game dying. I hope the second edition is not just a short puff, but a real renaissance into people playing Dropzone Commander. So if you do play Dropzone Commander, by all means, get in touch with your friends, buy some stuff, get a terrain table up, and see what kind of fun you can have playing Dropzone Commander. I myself am looking to play some games as well sometime in the near future. I know people who play Dropzone Commander. I will contact them and see what we can do. Thanks for watching, and by all means, go grab yourself some Dropzone Commander. It's out there and waiting for you.